I'm sure you don't even know some of them, but you won't believe what they did. Number 10. Norman Borlaug. Few people even know that one humble agronomist from Iowa managed to save more people than most doctors, humanitarian organizations, and governments combined. Norman devoted his entire life to developing new varieties of wheat that not only produced several times more yield, but were also resistant to drought, disease, and harsh climate. Thanks to these developments, millions of families across Asia, Africa, and Latin America who were living on the brink of famine were able to survive and build a new future. Scientists call it the Green Revolution. But Norman himself never liked loud words. He simply worked in the fields while the others argued in their offices. Even after he literally did our entire world a favor, he remained an ordinary man. And until the end of his life, he continued to prepare the soil, select seeds, and improve the quality of agricultural products. Historians are confident that his work helped save the lives of more than 1 billion people. And perhaps if you are listening to this video now with a full stomach, you too owe him at least some gratitude. Number 9. Václav Smil. He didn't appear on talk shows, take selfies in front of solar panels, or give inspirational speeches from the stage, as millions of others would have done in his place. But it was he who predicted the future of global energy with frightening accuracy. Václav is a Czech-born Canadian professor who has dedicated his life to analyzing global systems, from food and energy to climate and urbanization. Bill Gates calls him his favorite author and literally swallows every new book, because these texts contain no fantasies, only mathematically verified trends. Gates once said in an interview that if it weren't for the books of this outstanding scientist, he would be tens of billions of dollars poorer. Smil explains why the transition to green energy won't be as fast as we're promised, and why the fight against climate is not just a fashion, but a battle for the survival of our entire civilization. Almost no one knows his name, but his calculations guide governments and corporations that make decisions that affect each of us. Number 8. Tesla Hudson. Her name can easily be confused with a famous inventor from the past. But its contribution is not directed to the past, but to the future, in which electricity may literally be in the air. Tesla has developed a technology that allows devices to be charged using radio waves that are constantly around us, from Wi-Fi to satellite signals. This is not science fiction, but a working prototype that can already power small gadgets without a single wire and without being connected to the power grid. She believes that in the coming decades, this technology will give people freedom from electrical outlets and will radically change the way we use energy every day. While some corporations are afraid of losing control over the market, it continues to create solutions that bring us closer to the moment when charging your phone will become as invisible as the air you breathe. Who knows, maybe in the very near future you won't be afraid for the state of your wallet the next time you look at your electricity bill. Number 7. Satendra Nahal. He is not a scientist with a loud title or an inventor with $1 million. But what he did has already changed the lives of thousands of people and will soon change even more. Satendra has figured out how to collect moisture from the air in the driest regions of the planet, and without the use of electricity, fuel, or complex mechanisms. Yes, I agree it sounds like some kind of magic, but no. This man literally already made it possible. He was inspired by nature and in particular by the beetles that catch water droplets in the Namib Desert, and then built a device that helped provide his home village, where he is considered a true hero, with full water supply. Where people used to spend hours searching for even one bucket of clean water, they can now simply walk up to the reservoir and fill a jug. He did not patent his technology or sell it to corporations. He made the designs publicly available, because I understood that water is not a business, but life. He showed his humanity, because he refused multi-million-dollar contracts because everyone has the right to life. Number 6. James Harrison. When doctors discovered a rare type of antibody in his blood that could prevent a deadly condition in newborns, he could have easily taken the test and left, but he chose a different path. For 60 years, James came to the clinic and donated blood every week, knowing that every drop could save a baby who had virtually no chance of survival. We're not talking about tens or even thousands of children. According to Australian doctors, His blood has helped more than 2.5 million newborns stay alive. He didn't ask for awards, didn't write books, and didn't participate in advertising campaigns. He just knew he could help, and he did it until his death. Today, in Australia, he is known as the man with the golden arm, although James himself always said that he was simply a donor who could not stand aside when someone had a chance to live. This man simply saw someone in need of help and did his duty to the fullest. Number 5. Barbara McKinnon. While the whole world was admiring genetic engineering, rejoicing at DNA editing, and dreaming of children with ideal genes, Barbara asked a question that many immediately tried to avoid. She asked who would be held accountable if, in the future, a person decided to create offspring with improved characteristics, and then it turned out that the experiment got out of control. Barbara was not a scientist in a white coat, but a lawyer who decided to stand between science and ethics when both worlds refused to talk about boundaries. It was she who laid the foundations of bioethical law, which today determines where medicine ends and morality begins, what can be edited and what should remain untouched. Barbara did everything to ensure that our world was drowned in barbaric experiments on people, and perhaps thereby saved millions of lives. She did not hinder progress, she simply put a mirror in front of it, into which not everyone dared to look, but thanks to her we still have not turned humanity into a dangerous experiment. Number 4. Tony Fadell. If you've ever scrolled through tracks on an iPod or swiped your finger across the screen of the first iPhone, you've essentially held his ideas in your hands without even knowing who was behind them. Tony was more than just an engineer or designer. He was someone who could combine technology, aesthetics, and human needs into a single whole that became iconic. When Apple was still looking for a way to make music mobile, he came up with a concept that changed everything from controls to packaging, from interface logic to the feel in your hand. He later became a key figure in the development of the iPhone, but unlike the glossy covers and big names, he remained in the shadows because he was busy with the next invention. Today, he works on smart thermostats and ecosystems for sustainable housing, but in the history of technology, he will forever be remembered as the one who gave the world the first steps into the new digital era. Who knows, maybe very soon his new inventions will create a new digital revolution. Number 3. Janet Rowley. When she entered medicine, most doctors considered cancer to be something random, not related to heredity, genes, or internal glitches in a person's code. But Janet, by studying cells, proved for the first time that many cancers are specific chromosomal mutations that can be seen, tracked, and understood, meaning that all those who had no chance of living can now be treated. This discovery was a revolution that gave rise to entire fields, from molecular diagnostics to targeted therapy, which are considered the norm today but were then on the verge of fantasy. She didn't just change the approach to treatment, she changed the very understanding of the disease, turning cancer from a mysterious death sentence into a clearly defined failure that can be influenced and overcome. The scientific community only recognized her contribution years later, but for millions of patients around the world, her work marked the beginning of a new era in oncology, where people now have a chance for recovery. Number 2. Abdullah Sharif. In a country where electricity is a luxury and darkness comes as soon as the sun goes down, he realized that one lamp can make a difference much more than it seems at first glance. Abdullah built the first solar panels from discarded parts and household waste, then installed them in his village so that children could do their homework after sunset. This small project became the beginning of a whole movement, in which light became not just a source of energy, but an opportunity to learn, develop, and build a future where before there was only darkness. Women began to read, teenagers were able to learn crafts, and adults could finally discuss the news because they now had not just a lamp, but time, which had not existed before. The idea that was born in the heart of one man has already spread to hundreds of villages because, as Abdullah himself said, light is not an object. It is a right that everyone should have. He continues to help everyone in need because it's good to remember what kind of life he had. Number 1. Paul Romer. While most economists were arguing about taxes, GDP, and central banks, he proposed a completely different view of growth, one in which knowledge, not money, became the main resource. Paul developed the theory of endogenous growth, which showed that countries grow not because they have natural resources or good geography, but because they invest in ideas. He showed that innovation, technology, and human capital do not simply complement the economy, but are its real engine that pushes progress forward. This theory has radically changed approaches to development. Now, success is measured not in tons of oil, but in the level of education, research activity, and the ability to create something new. This man's ideas have helped inventors and scientists from all over the world, because now the government actively supports them, and they themselves have money to implement their ideas. In 2018, he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Economics, but even after that, few people know his name, although it was he who taught the world to think not about resources, but about the potential of the human mind. That's all. If at least one of these people surprised you, then this video has already done its job, because the point is not in their fame, but in how quietly they turned the world upside down. If you want to learn more about those who did not get into textbooks but did the impossible, subscribe to the channel, put a like, and tell us in the comments which story amazed you the most.